Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get straight to the core insights on topics that really matter, especially, around education and student well-being. You're here because you want to get up to speed fast on the important stuff. So today, we're diving deep into something pretty fundamental,
Which is,
how we actually measure the climate, the atmosphere of a secondary school. We're talking about secondary school climate assessments. Yeah.
yes. And you flagged a really good source for this. It's a systematic review from the Educational Psychology Review, published April 2023.
Right. A systematic review of secondary school climate assessments.
Exactly. And a systematic review, just quickly, is when researchers kind of step back, look at all the existing studies on a topic here. It's assessing school climate to spot the trends and, maybe more importantly, where the gaps are.
Right. So they're not just looking at one study, they're surveying the whole landscape. And they've looked at, what, 46 different assessments?
That's right, 46.
Okay. So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out what this big review tells us about where we stand now. How are we trying to understand the vibe in secondary schools? What's changed recently? What seems to be working? And what do these researchers think needs more attention?
Yeah, it's all about getting a clearer picture of these environments where teenagers spend so much critical time.
Definitely. So they looked at all these different ways schools try to get a handle on how the place feels. What jumped out at you first? Anything surprising right off the bat?
Well, maybe not surprising, but definitely important to establish first what is school climate. It's complex.
Right. It's not just one thing.
Not at all. It's the quality of relationships, that
Right.
sense of safety, belonging, the shared values. It's that whole underlying atmosphere.
It's a feeling you get. Yeah. Not just like, are the desks new?
Exactly. It influences everything: learning, well-being. Even though this review focuses on the how we measure it, that why it matters is always there in the background.
Okay. So we agree it's important. How did these researchers actually tackle looking at those 46 different assessments? What was their method?
Well, they did a really thorough search, found these 46 tools specifically for secondary schools. But the really smart thing they did was split them up.
How so?
They looked at assessments published before 2016 and then those published between 2016 and 2021.
So like a before and after snapshot.
Kind of, yeah. It gives us that temporal lens, lets us see how the field's actually evolving, not just where it is right now.
That's way more useful.
Yeah.
Okay, so comparing the older ones, pre-2016, with the newer ones, what really changed? What are the big trends?
Well, one massive shift, and probably not a huge shock, is technology.
Right. Everything's going digital.
Pretty much. Newer assessments are way more likely to be given online, and the reports you get back also increasingly digital.
Makes sense from a practical standpoint, I guess.
Yeah.
Easier to send out, collect data.
For sure. Think about schools' online surveys can be simpler, maybe reach more people easily. And digital reports, you can get findings faster, maybe visualize them better.
Does that tech shift also change, like, the kind of information we get or how we analyze it?
That's a good point. The review didn't dig super deep into that specifically, but you can see the potential, right? Online surveys could maybe use different question types, multimedia.
Adaptive questions, maybe?
Yeah, potentially. And digital reports could link up with other school data. But like I said, the review mostly stuck to the assessment characteristics themselves.
Okay. So besides the tech boom, were there other shifts in how we're thinking about or measuring school climate?
Yes, definitely. They noted some changes in how school climate is even conceptualized. What specific things researchers are trying to measure.
Like the different dimensions, safety, relationships, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And also, crucially, they looked at validity, like, do these tests actually measure what they claim to measure?
Right.
And accessibility, too. How easy are they for schools to actually use and understand? These are all like fundamental building blocks for any good assessment.
Absolutely. I mean, if the test is based on an old idea of climate, or there's no proof it works, or it's just too complicated to use, it's not much help, is it?
Not really, no.
Now, you mentioned the researchers had a main takeaway, sort of central concern they highlighted. What was that?
Yeah, their biggest point, and it's a really crucial one, is what they called a general lack of psychometric data for many assessments.
Psychometric data.
Yeah.
Okay, break that down.
It sounds technical, but it basically boils down to the evidence. Is the assessment reliable? Does it give consistent results? And is it valid? Does it actually measure school climate accurately?
So even with all these tools out there, we often don't have strong proof that they're giving us a true picture.
That seems to be the concern, yeah. It's a pretty significant gap if we want to use these results to make real improvements.
Why do you think that is? If these assessments are being used, why isn't the validation stronger? Is it just hard to do?
It can be. Rigorous validation takes time, resources. You need large, diverse groups of students and schools, often track them over time.
Okay.
Plus, school climate itself is complex, right? There isn't always total agreement on every single aspect or the best way to measure it. That makes validation tricky.
And they mentioned something specific about validation needing to consider different levels.
Yes, exactly. They pointed out the need for validation that looks at both school-level differences, how one school compares to another, and individual-level differences within a school.
Ah, right. Because my experience in a school might be totally different from yours, even in the same building.
Precisely. Think about it, a student facing bullying versus, say, the captain of the football team. Their view of the climate could be worlds apart. A single score might miss that nuance.
That makes total sense. Okay, the review also talked about peer-reviewed versus gray literature assessments. What's the difference there?
Right, so peer-reviewed assessments are the ones published in academic journals. They've gone through that rigorous review process by other experts before getting published.
Kind of like quality control.
Yeah, essentially. Gray literature, on the other hand, is stuff like reports from nonprofits, maybe internal school district evaluations, white papers, things that don't typically go through that same external formal peer review process.
Okay, got it. So peer-reviewed means more scientific scrutiny generally. Did they find differences when they compared the two types?
They did, and it's quite interesting. Peer-reviewed assessments were much more likely to have that psychometric testing done, like 88% of them,
Wow, okay, compared.
compared to only 60% for the gray literature ones. So there's clearly more emphasis on validation in the academic world.
That fits, yeah. Researchers need to prove their measures are solid. But wasn't there a flip side regarding, like, usability or reports?
Yes, that's the twist. While the peer-reviewed ones had better validation, fewer of them actually offered reports back to schools, only about 49%.
Less than half.
Right, whereas the gray literature assessments, 80% of them offered reports.
So the ones with maybe less rigorous testing are more likely to actually give feedback to the schools?
It seems that way. It kind of suggests this potential trade-off, rigor versus practical application.
So the super-validated tools might not be as user-friendly for schools day to day, while the more user-friendly ones might lack that strong scientific backbone.
That seems to be the pattern they found. And it leads straight into one of their main recommendations.
Which is?
They suggest the field really needs to try and integrate the strengths of both. Imagine tools that are properly validated, really trustworthy,
Scientifically sound.
but also provide clear, actionable reports that schools can actually understand and use to make changes. That's the goal.
The best of both worlds. Makes perfect sense. You need the confidence it's measuring the right thing, but you also need the results in a form you could actually do something with.
Exactly. Research and practice working together.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We've dived into this big review of secondary school climate assessments. What are the absolute key takeaways for our listeners?
I'd say two main things. First, the huge shift towards using technology for giving out these surveys and sharing the results. That's definitely changing things.
More efficient, maybe more reach.
Right. But second, and maybe the more critical point, is this real need for stronger validation, more proof that these tools actually work accurately and reliably.
We need more confidence in the measurements.
Yeah, especially making sure they capture those differences between schools and between individuals within schools.
And we also touched on that interesting split between the peer-reviewed, often more validated tools, and the gray literature ones, which are often better at reporting back.
Right, highlighting that need to bring those strengths together, rigor and practical reporting. That seems like the way forward.
It really gives you a good sense of where things stand. The tools are getting more modern, technologically speaking, but the foundational science behind them, well, it still needs work.
It's an ongoing process, for sure.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? As we've quickly covered today, even when we have shiny new tech to understand something basic like how a school feels, we still need to ask, is the underlying measurement solid? How much trust should we place in educational tools or solutions that promise quick insights without that robust proof? Definitely something to keep in mind. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.